The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Earnestly Speaking podcast here, coming to you on June 18th, 2020. So I'm actually here right now in my little office / studio, which is actually my closet. And I'm right now in a peaceful house. Okay, right now my oldest son, Eli, is with his grandmother for a couple of days, his Grammy. My wife's at work right now currently, working her double shift today. And then my son Logan, my youngest son, 3-year-old Logan, he's actually asleep right now. So I actually have, even though it's late now, it's about 11 o'clock p.m. doing this. I figured I do this now, come in and take advantage of the situation, which is strange because I should be on hiatus. I announced a couple days ago on the show and on social media that I was going to take a couple weeks off, maybe a week or two off, from doing any sort of podcast, any sort of social media, excessive social media stuff on there. And because of some family issues, family stuff we're going through right now. But there's a lot going on right now. There's a lot going on. I feel like I'm missing out. I feel like I picked the wrong week to do this. And granted, the stuff that's going on here at home is more important, obviously. But we've been able to manage it for the most part right now. So basically, I cut my hiatus short. So yeah, that was quick. I'm back. And there's a lot going on right now. I want to talk about. And I didn't want to miss out on that. First off, one of the things I'm not going to talk about on the show today, but on the blog 2 days ago, I put a piece out about the merger. Well, I won't say a merger. It's actually Jason Whitlock going to Outkick the coverage, joining Outkick coverage with Clay Travis. I spoke about it in the last podcast a little bit. The Quick and Pounds podcast down the road, and just get my thoughts about that. The fact that that whole combination, which I predicted weeks ago when it was announced that Whitlock was leaving FS1. I wrote a blog about that this week, so you can check it out on earnestchristian.com. But yeah, I've been, I don't know, I just felt like I felt the need to come here and talk a little bit. And, right now the house is empty, so, we're gonna manage things at her home. If I need to step away for a couple of days, I'll do that. But the podcast, this show is very important to me. It's therapeutic in a lot of ways. It's a lot like a journal now. Like I've told you guys over the course of the last couple months and years, especially the last year or so, that this podcast has changed a lot. As the evolution of the show has changed throughout the course of a lot, well, now, this is now year 9. Next year will be our 10th anniversary of this podcast. And, going from where I was 2011 to now, being a sports-centric show to now being a variety of things, and just kind of like a journal, if you will. There's things I care about, want to talk about, guests, friends talk with, whether they're famous or not. That's kind of what I wanted, and I'm very happy what I'm doing now with the show. So like I said, if I need to step away a couple more days, whatever, I'll obviously do that. But if I have a chance to step in here and, talk about things that I feel is important to talk about, I'll do so. Also, guys, if you get a chance, check out my YouTube page. Just type in Earnest Christian. I've been updating the page a little bit, cleaning it up a little bit. What I've been doing the last couple of days, especially, and I do this every so often, I've been peeling off interesting clips from old episodes from the last 6 to 8 months, talking points that actually are interesting, that kind of evergreen, and post them on my clips playlist. So a couple of things that I peeled off. There was stuff on wrestling that I peeled off, about Bret Hart, for example. I put up on the YouTube page. I just peeled a clip off of the last episode I did with Zach, my buddy Zach, the Degenerate. Talking about Joe Biden. That's gotten a little bit of traction on Instagram, on YouTube, and on Facebook. So I've been doing that. So check out the page if you get a chance. I'm gonna start pushing the YouTube page more. I'm also hoping to start doing more video again with this show. Once I fix up the studio here a little bit, little backdrop. That's kind of the plan going forward, is to do more videos in the future. And just kind of push the show a little more, if you will. So, but we'll talk more about that in the shows to come, episodes to come, months, weeks, whatever, maybe. So, like I said, obviously this is a very tough time in America with the unrest. We still have COVID-19, and I've been taking up time with my family and really really locking down. And I'm really blessed that my wife and I have 2 good jobs. We work very hard. We're working a lot right now, which is part of the stress that really we're going through. It's putting stress on family a little bit to some degree. Budgeting things, I'm really locking down on cutting back on things we don't need anymore. And like, for example, like we used to have we had Disney passes for the last like 5 years, because we would go often. If not me, definitely my wife and my kids would go, to Disney World. So we had annual passes. I haven't really had interest in going recently. I told her, even before COVID-19 came here, I told my wife that, listen, I don't really, like, if you want to keep your pass, we can do so, because I know you'll go often with your girlfriends, and maybe you'll go with the kids, once in a while. But I don't feel the need for all 4 of us to have passes, honestly. The boys don't really care to go as much as we think we do. And I can go another year or 2 without going to Disney World, to be honest with you. That's money in my pocket I'm saving. And, so now granted, COVID-19, forced their hand anyway. They stopped taking payments out of our account. Anyway, because of the pandemic. But it was cool, because was that it ran at the same time, our passes expired. And we had a chance to renew it, of course, we wanted to, but I told her no. And she said no. She says, no, I'm cool with it too. And the only reason why I think she said no too, especially because her best friend's pregnant, obviously, and though she would only go with her, but if she said maybe very soon, there's no point of her going to Disney World either. So, well, and I told the wife that, listen, if we go to Disney World again later in the year, we'll just save the money up. We'll save the money up on the side and do it. Why? I'd rather just save the $84 a month I'm paying to do this, and this, we'll save up and go instead of just take money out of our account. I'd rather put the money away. So we save their money there, of course. We've been cutting back on things in the house a little bit, things we don't need. Again, I'm cracking on the minimalism thing. I'm back to it. One of my cars is almost paid off. Our Toyota Corolla almost paid off. We're about 3 months away from being paid off, and that's another couple $100 we're gonna have freed up that we'll put into obviously savings and just putting money away. I tell you, you turn 40 years old, man. It's funny. The older I get, the more frugal I feel. I feel like I don't need things. I just need to transportation to work, back home. I don't need a fancy ass car. I don't need all those top end things anymore. As long as it works, gets to work, make some money, come back home. If I need to go to the store, if I need to do this and that, I'm cool with that. I don't need material things anymore, man. Honestly, to survive in this world anymore. So we're really cracking down on a lot of that stuff, though, and I'm really happy she's a part of that too. Also, she's really taking to it. It's the challenge is obviously with our kids, because our kids you got 2 boys who are getting older, and they like to eat, and a lot of like to do a lot of activities and stuff. So that we'll have to manage that in the years to come. But at least we're starting to crack down on our families and expenses and whatnot. And I think this pandemic really put a focus on that, the things we actually do need and don't need. So, I also, recently, and it's funny, I started doing this a couple months ago, before the pandemic. I started intermittent fasting, before the pandemic started. And then once the pandemic started, we was home for 10 weeks, and dude, obviously I was a mess for a little while. But I noticed in the last week and a half that I've been sort of not on purpose doing intermittent fasting. It's weird. I have been eating late. I've been only eating in a certain block of hours a day, and after that I'm done. And I noticed that a couple of days ago, as I was like thinking to myself, like, I haven't eaten since yesterday at this X time. And basically the most popular block of time in, intermittent fasting. If you don't know what intermittent fasting is, it's basically taking a block of time to eat a day and allowing your body to recover another day. So the most popular, for example, ratio to eat is like 8 hours. You pick here's the most popular one. 8 hours of the day to eat anything. Well, anything. Obviously better to be eating healthy, but to eat 8 hours and another 16 hours allow your body to recover. So one of my challenges has been recently is because since we have to be back to work in the last month now, one of the challenges has been, picking a block of time to eat, because when I started doing it initially before the pandemic, I was working, from noon to 6. And then now I've been working from 9 o'clock in the morning to 5. And, and I'm pretty used to eating before coming to work. I like to have something to fuel me before I start dealing cards. For some reason, recently I've been okay. I've been able to. There've been some mornings where I have not come in work to eat. Just came in and I'll go something to eat about 2 hours into my shift, and I'm fine with it. I've noticed also I haven't been eating late anymore. I've noticed that I've just been eating in a certain amount of. I eat a lot on the time I'm allowed to eat. I make sure I eat a nice meal, but then I don't feel like eating anymore after that meal. I don't know. I don't think I enjoy eating as much as I used to. Like, I don't think I enjoy food as much as I used to. I think I eat food now to just to live, not to overindulge. And I think I'm getting to that point now in my life where, like, I love food, but on my day-to-day now, I don't need to eat X amount of times a day. And furthermore, I don't think I enjoy snacking anymore either. I don't even snack much anymore. Like, I don't enjoy having chips in the house, and we have it in the house because that's my kids. They love the chips and stuff, so we have it for them, but I don't really care about that stuff. But yeah, I've been not on purpose doing intermittent fasting. So basically I think I've been doing 11 to 7. It's been my probably the hours I've been doing the most. 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. where I've been eating. I haven't been eating after 6 o'clock lately. 7 o'clock either. I mean, it's weird, but it's good. It's a really good thing. Also, talking about my some of the issues at home and trying to, raise 2 kids and stuff. I started my son, Eli, 7 years old, started getting him to watching Family Matters. Remember Family Matters with Steve Urkel? And it came out in 1989. That was a good show. I enjoyed the show as a kid. Obviously, I look at it now in hindsight, 30 years later, very corny, obviously, but I do enjoy it. He likes it too. Trying to find more positive things for him to watch, especially, because of, obviously we're trying to navigate some of the waters here in terms of what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, what's too violent. Like the problem with my 7-year-old is that he can sometimes, okay, so he loves wrestling, but he sometimes can get rough with his brother sometimes. Sometimes he gets a little obsessed, and we gotta pull him back. Like right now, he's not allowed to watch wrestling now because of the result. So we're trying to find more positive things to watch, him to watch. He loves Fuller House. Loves that show. So I figured, well, if he likes Fuller House, let's try the sitcoms. And so I'm trying to find shows that I grew up with that he can probably relate to, and he enjoys Full House. I'm sorry, not Full House. Family Matters, and he loves Steve Urkel especially too. He's really enjoyed it, and I'm trying to find more positive shows for him to watch in the coming weeks and whatever maybe. Yeah. Again, 7 years old, man. He's getting older. He's starting to find things and interests and whatnot, and you have to continue to keep him. You want him to still be a child, obviously. He's 7 years old. He acts like he's a little older than his age. But again, we have to make sure he's watching the right material that's appropriate, whatnot. So there's that. But, he's enjoyed that. Full House. He watched a little bit of Full House too, the original. I believe he enjoyed that one as well too. So, what else? This week is the 25th anniversary of Michael Jackson's History album. Obviously, you guys know I'm a huge fan, die-hard fan. In fact, been a die-hard fan for almost 40 years. And the History album is Michael Jackson's woke album. It's actually his woke. It's his most personal album, obviously. Obviously, every album he's done has always had some personal tinge to it, but this album is the one that's I've always said that History was not an album to really enjoy in the same way you enjoy Off the Wall, Thriller, or even Bad. Okay, like you won't, you go to a discotheque or whatever, you go to a club and you play, Billie Jean, whatever, and obviously you enjoy when it dance to the music. I've always felt Michael Jackson's History album was something for you to sit down and listen to and listen to the lyrics. Like that's just an album that tackles so many different themes. I've called this album for years an emotional roller coaster, and as I got older, this album's aged even better because a lot of things that go on today, like climate change and just the argument on climate change and saving our planet, police brutality, oppression, loneliness, mental health. All those things were captured on this album. And this album is 25 years old, 1995. This was obviously his response to the allegations in 93. His first response, public response in terms of, material. So it's funny. The album is such a it's so. I look back now as I'm 40 years old. I look back at this album like it's so genius. Is this his best work? In my opinion, no. It definitely is some of his creative work, obviously, but I don't think it's his best album. I mean, my favorite album is Off the Wall, personally. But the genius of the album is in the sequence too, especially. The album starts up with Scream. It's very. When I say album, I mean it's a two-disc album. Disc 1 obviously is all the older stuff at the time, everything off of Dangerous, Off the Wall, Thrill, and Bad. But the disc 2 is really where the material lies. Scream to start off, and they don't care about us. Like the album comes out with Anger, Guns Blazing. Then you go to Stranger in Moscow, which is very a ballad, very probably one of his most underrated songs he's ever done. Very like depressing. Then back to the heavy groove of This Time Around. Then you go to Earth Song, which is my favorite song on the entire record, talking about climate change and all saving our planet and all that. Then it gets angry again, and the album goes through ebbs and flows of that way. It goes angry, then it gets soft. It gets angry and soft, and then melancholy, and then the album ends with a song called Smile. It's not an original song. It's actually Charlie Chaplin, but the fact that the album ends with the song called Smile. So the beginning is the first song is Scream, and the last song is Smile. I mean, it's genius. It's absolute genius. History is the biggest selling double album in history of music. It sold 20 million copies. So technically it's 40 million copies if you want to count both discs. But yeah, it's an underrated record. It really is. And it's, as I said, it's aged well within years. So yeah, that's 25 years. I remember that's actually the first album I think I actually bought with my own money. If I'm not mistaken. So I was 15 when that album came out. Obviously, I had all the other records, but I didn't buy them with my own money. My mom bought those records for me. Me actually going to walk into a store and buying it at FYE or, Sam Goody, whatever, So, I've been listening to, now I'm a little behind on this the last couple of weeks, but I've been listening to the Dream Team podcast, hosted by Jack McCallum. Jack McCallum wrote a book actually on the Dream Team, the NBA Dream Team. That's led by Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, all that. I started the book actually. I actually had the book. I started the book a couple weeks ago. I haven't finished it yet. But the podcast he started doing, about a month and a half ago. It's a weekly podcast. It's very, very insightful. I love how raw it sounds, especially I had a lot of interviews where he did with some of those players on the team, but the interviews and the sound of the interviews are very, very raw. Like really, really raw. But it's a really good podcast. It gives a little insight about the team, why Isaiah Thomas was left off the team, and some of the, I won't say infighting, but some of the challenges with the team. Charles Barkley, his behavior and all that. It's a really, really good podcast. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I'm a little behind on it right now. I think I'm 3 episodes behind, so I'm actually on purpose trying to let it pop a little bit so I can just gram through it. I think. If I'm not mistaken, I think the podcast actually is supposed to be 10 episodes. I think. I'm not sure. But I think I might let it pop a little bit more, and then once I know he's done with the podcast, I'll just run right through it, in one sitting. Because the episodes aren't that long. They're like between 25 and 30 minutes. So it's not like I can finish those in one day, to be honest with you. If I carve out a whole block of a day to just the podcast, I can just do that in one sitting. So. It's I think it's on Wondery also. It's on the Wondery network. They have really other good pods on there. Like I said, I'm really enjoying it. It's really fascinating stuff. I mean, like I said, I'm reading the book also too. Although I paused it because I'm back to work. I'm working like a motherfucker. What crazy. So let me see. The podcast is. I'm sorry, it's not Wondery. I apologize. It's diversionpodcast.com. iHeartRadio actually is sponsoring it too, especially. So, yeah, it's like I said, check it out if you get a chance. Like I said, the audio, the interviews he does with the players and people related to the Dream Team, very raw sounding audio, which honestly I do like. I think it has an authentic sound to it. So, check it out. Of course, like I said, it's online on any podcast catcher you find out there. You can listen to it. Speaking of podcasts, also too, this morning on the way to work, I actually listened to a podcast, the Axe Files podcast, which is hosted by David Axelrod, who was the former campaign manager for Barack Obama. He had on Charlie Sykes today on his show, and Charlie Sykes is a conservative commentator that I've come to respect, especially in recent years. He's I guess when they call one of the Never Trumpers. He was criticized heavily for not supporting Trump in Wisconsin, and like conservatives that would call his radio show, whatever. So, yeah, I wanted to do this podcast. I wanted to see his insight. I'm really, loving political commentary, especially. I really wanted to hear, his story, because I've heard a lot about him through the years. He's one of the most well-respected conservative faces out there. I'm a moderate, so there's a lot of conservatives I do respect also too. So I want to hear his take on the way the world is today, under Trump and just everything in general. It was a very, very good podcast. If you're into political commentary, especially, David Axelrod's podcast, which by the way, I'm so glad, he actually, I think I mentioned this on the show a couple weeks ago. I think last year when Luminary, the other podcast platform, launched, and they gobbled up Mike Rappaport's podcast, they gobbled up Aaron Foster's podcast, and they also gobbled up at the time the Axe Files. So, but he had to pay money to get access to the shows. And I don't know what happened late last year, early this year, but apparently they parted ways, and all of a sudden, Axe Files is back to being available for free on any podcast catcher, which is great because I love the show. He has interviews with a lot of interesting people in the political world, and even some in pop culture, some in sports, mostly political, obviously. But this is a good episode with Charlie Sykes. Just hearing his perspective on Trump and just everything in general is really interesting. But half an hour ago, we just got word about Amy Klobuchar bowing out of the vice presidency, of the VP vice president race or consideration next to Joe Biden. But what really fascinated me is the reasoning she did this. Apparently, she supposedly said that Joe Biden should choose a woman of color. Obviously, Joe Biden puts him in the corner by saying that his vice president, his running mate, would be a woman. That happened during one of the debates with Bernie Sanders back in February, which I thought was silly because at the time, it comes as pandering, number one, and he puts you in the corner. And Klobuchar saying this again. Look, I'm not against having a woman of color or any person of color to be his VP, his running mate. Obviously, I love to see that, but I don't like people pandering to do that. It has to feel authentic. It has to feel like it's natural. If you gotta force it, then why do it? Why do it? It makes no sense at all. So Klobuchar bowed out of the consideration because, she thinks that he should pick a woman of color. With everything going on with Black Lives Matter right now, especially, obviously it's a ripe time to do this. And I'm not against it at all. Obviously it'd be great. There's a couple of women out there you would consider. Obviously, the two that really comes to mind, obviously, is Stacey Abrams from Georgia, who ran for governor 2 years ago, and probably should have won that race against her opponent. There's Brian Adams, whatever his name is. Brian Kemp. And then, of course, Kamala Harris. but who I think would be a better AG, Attorney General, for Joe Biden should he win the presidency. But yeah, Klobuchar saying this. Klobuchar is kind of ran me to saying this still. Honestly, sounds like pandering. I don't know. These kind of things always seem to not feel authentic. So I'm always have antennas up. Maybe she really means well, but I don't know. By the way, I was looking at polling today. I haven't really been focused on polling as much this cycle with the president's the race, the election coming up in a few months. But Joe Biden, I mean, every poll has Joe Biden leading. Now, obviously, I don't want to polling, especially after 2016. Obviously, polling is something that you take with a grain of salt. But there are states right now that are in play that I would not even thought would be in play. Arizona's in play for Joe Biden to not only to be competitive, but Joe Biden to win. In fact, Hillary Clinton came close to being Donald Trump in Arizona, and that's a state that's been ruby red for a long time. Barack Obama got crushed in Arizona in both his presidential races. Granted, he still won the presidency both times, but it just gives you a little more perspective and a little more insight into states that might be in play. And Donald Trump needs to run a table again. He needs to run a table in the Rust Belt. He needs to run a table in the battleground states, and there's a lot of states that could be in play. Like Georgia's apparently in play too. I think Georgia still goes red, but the gaps are narrowing every cycle. So something to think about going forward. The political world today, man, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. People like Candace Owens that really piss me off because, and people say, oh, black conservatives and that. I'm one person that defends black conservatives, especially the right ones. Like there's some really good ones out there. Sonny Johnson's one I really grown to love in the last couple months now. There's a couple other good ones out there. Thomas Sowell, he's a genius. I like Larry Elder for the most part. A couple things I'm a little, with him. I'm a little with him, but the whole father in the home thing. Him and I are very tight with that one, especially. There's a lot of good conservatives, black conservatives out there I really respect. Candace Owens ain't one of them. Candace Owens is a grifter. Candace Owens is a fake. It's a fraud. And it really pains me to see people that, even if you like Trump or don't like Trump, whatever, or conservative, whatever it may be, who defend Candace Owens as though she's like the, this next superstar, not realizing that she's a fraud. And it's not that she's never wrong. Not right on the things that, on some of her positions, for example. But my problem with people like Candace Owens is that she's a person that's all bark and no bite. But basically, when you ask her, okay, her thing is leaving the plantation, and go to the red team, vote for Trump and this and that and Brexit and all this stuff. But then when you ask her about actual issues and into the meat and grind of fixing issues, she offers nothing. She offers nothing at all of fixing issues. Just leave the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party's bad. And okay, cool. So on the issues of inequality and income inequality, for example, how do you fix it? Politically speaking, policy-wise, she offers nothing. And that's her problem. She's another grifter. She saw a lane that she can win in and make some money. It's all about a brand for her. She's branding herself to be, because she's the first one that really went hard as a black conservative, conservative that supported Trump. And as I said, there's a lot of really good black conservatives out there. Like I said, Sonny Johnson's my favorite one right now. She's somebody, and by the way, she was also that round table she did with Donald, that went on with Trump last week, the black round table, African American round table at the White House. She was part of that. And there's a clip, I saw the 14-minute clip of her with other black conservatives, and she cut through the noise better than anybody else. And she's the only woman there, and she cut through the noise. She got right to the issues, and right down to the brick and mortar of issues. And to me, I respect that. Candace Owens can't do that. Okay, this is why she's a fraud. Sorry, I break it to you. She's a fraud. So that's that. All right, finally, before I go, no sports obviously right now, but apparently, and Major League Baseball is getting a lot of flack for how they've been handling this pandemic in terms of return back to sports. There was threats a couple days ago that they may not even be a season this year. I'll tell you, if Major League Baseball was really going to risk that, it would be curtains for the growth of the game. Now, thankfully, the word is now that they are closing on a deal to start the 2020 season. Obviously, no details out yet, but they must have gotten the message or got the memo, because I said it when I saw the news last week about them not getting closer to a deal and they may fold for the rest of the year based on the players union and the owners that have coming with an agreement how to do this and salaries and all that. Long term, it hurt the game. Baseball's only now recovering from the '94 strike, from the steroid era, if you will. They're only now starting to get the foot in. And what I'm saying, and a lot of people who watch baseball want to say, "Oh, that's bullshit." Baseball's still pretty big. Yeah, it's big in certain regions of the country. Okay, there was a time that baseball was the number one sport in this country, bigger than NFL, bigger than NBA. They've lost on the ground in the last. Ever since the strike '94, they've not really recovered. Baseball's always the distant third sport that matters, and you can argue distant fourth because college football gets more play in the media than baseball does. And less people are playing baseball today too, especially kids. Less kids are interested in playing baseball, which sucks. I love baseball, but it's one of those things where I think they got the message, because a strike here, not a strike, but them not returning to the game, it's going to kill the growth of the sport, because people will figure out how to do without it. The same way they did for the last 20-something years when the strike happened and they recovered. So it's good to see that the owners and the Players Union are starting to get traction. And I think they panicked because they heard that people they got backlash on this thing. So it's good to see that there's some traction on a deal. Now, whether or not we get a deal this week, we'll see. The NBA is on the way back, obviously, too. There's still some pushback on that with Kyrie Irving's comments about, not wanting to come back or whatever. So we'll see what happens there. But, all right, that was a long-winded episode today. A lot of topics today for 30 minutes. So I'll go for now. You can follow me on Twitter, of course, at EasyChristian7. Earnestchristian.com is the website. Again, this is June 18, 2020, Earnest Podcast. And until the next episode, we'll talk to you later. Love you guys. Take care. Godspeed.